This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you one and all for being a part of this webinar series that has been started by EduLoans. Week on week, we are having these sessions with our financial partners. And today, we are glad that we have our financial partners, Incred. They are an NBFC, which is a non-banking finance company who works very closely with EduLoans to help students in getting their education loans or study loans done for their studies abroad. We have with us Mr. Nilanjan Chittoraj. He is Mr. Chattaraj is a loan officer with Incred. He has been into the loan industry and the finance industry for a lot of years, and he's an expert in the loan section, in the loan department. So we would be handing over this session to Nilanjan to take it further. In case if you have any questions during the session, you could put them in the chat box to the top right hand corner. You can click on the chat and you would get a chat box where you can enter your questions. This session will be recorded, so you can view the recording of this session in the next 2 to 3 days once it gets uploaded onto the EduLoans website or portal. We now hand over this session to Nilanjan, who will be taking you further, and he would be speaking about how education loan can help in student visa process, which is the topic for today. Nilanjan, you could take over the session now.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you, Gurpreet, and your team for putting this together. Secondly, to all the viewers today, before I get started, I'd like to congratulate all of you on your pursuit of higher education abroad. I have, like Gurpreet said, I have spent about 12 years in the education loan industry in India, and I have, have the pleasure of interacting with thousands and thousands of students who have gone abroad to do their overseas education. Most of them, almost all of them actually, one thing that they tell me, and one thing that they will tell you also if you talk to them, is that they say that, overseas education, higher education overseas, is a life-changing experience actually. The long-term benefits, the short and long-term benefits of it are actually unparalleled, cannot be measured. However, there is one bottleneck that most students face, most students from India face, and that is the financial need for completing that course or the funding requirement. And also, I am guessing that most of you guys here today are in various process of your admission cycle. Some of you have received admission, some of are finalizing the university or the program. Some of you may be still applying, but will get a confirmed admission very soon. Regardless of which stage you are in, I think given the fact that your courses will start in, say, August or September, March and April is the right time to actually get started on your financial planning as well. I will talk a little bit about what are these or what are the viable options available to you to fund your studies overseas, and then I will focus on education loans, tell you some benefits of education loans, along with how education loans can be of help in getting your visa, student visa, etc., or student permit processing done. Then I will talk a little bit about Incred and some special products and programs that we have for overseas students. And then we will open up the session for a question and answer part, and I will try to answer all your questions on a first come first served basis. Okay, can we move on to the next slide, please? Okay, great. So first thing I want to tell you are what are your possible options to fund your education. Okay, typically there are four broad options. The first option are family funds. The advantage of family funds is that they are very readily available, easily accessible. These are typically your parents and your family savings and investments, and therefore they are sitting in your dad or mom's bank account or in an FD, or maybe it's a movable or immovable property such as land or LIC or something. Um, However, there are some strong disadvantages of utilizing your family funds for your higher education, and they are basically some of those disadvantages are the fact that you are liquidating your family's investments and savings. These investments and savings can be kept intact or further invested to get higher returns. Also, in most cases, your parents are nearing a higher age bracket. In the next 10 years or less, they may be retiring. So they do need these funds kept aside for unseen emergencies, for their retirement, for medical problems, issues that may come in. So it's not exactly the brightest of idea to dip into that investment or savings that your family may need in the future. Even if they don't need it, they can invest that money and earn high returns on them. And therefore, family funds may be one of the options you should consider, but you shouldn't completely fall back on your family funds and savings to fund your entire higher education costs. The second type of funding that you can avail are scholarships and grants. These include fellowships or assistantships that a university may offer to you. Um, Sometimes these scholarships are merit based, sometimes they are need based. Merit based meaning if you are academically sound, then you get the scholarship. A need based scholarship is basically if you are financially not very strong, then the university will consider you for this scholarship. Now, scholarships and grants are one of the best ways to fund your degree. It's pretty much getting free money from the university uh, to pay for your higher education. So they are invariably a really great way to fund your studies. But again, there are a few disadvantages that I would like to quickly go over. One is that most scholarships and grants are very competitive. So not everybody gets them. Also, there is no clear framework to apply for the scholarship. There is no single window to apply for scholarships. Every college or university will have a different set of requirements and paperwork and policy to apply for these scholarships. Not only will individual universities and colleges have different policies to give scholarships, even departments within universities may have different requirements to give you this scholarship. So it's a little cumbersome and competitive to apply for these scholarships. Also, most scholarships will not cover your entire funding need. They will only cover a small portion of your cost of attendance. So you will need to keep all of this in mind. Lastly, about the scholarships is that increasingly most number of universities will require you to land up in the US or Canada or Australia, wherever you're going, and spend a semester there, establish a GPA before you can even be considered for the scholarships. So if you are planning to avail some of these scholarships and grants to fund some of your education costs, you need to get started. You should have already gotten started a couple of months ago along with your applications. Moving on, the other type of funding option available to students are non-education or non-loans other than student loans. So these other loans include a home loan or a mortgage loan, a loan against a property, a personal loan that your parents may take through their banker, or a gold loan where your family mortgages their gold into a bank and take some funding against it. Now, this is an alternative source of funding that you may consider if you don't have any other way to fund your education. However, I really recommend that you keep it as a last resort. There are some very severe drawbacks of these loans, basically because they are not customized to education or the needs of a student. The repayments will start immediately, the interest will be higher. Obviously, the loan is not given to you, but it is given out to your parents or your family members who will take the loan on your behalf. They will obviously require a collateral such as a house or gold to come in. The amount given will not be covering your entire cost of attendance. All of these factors put together, it's not a really great idea to avail one of these loans to fund your education. So the last option then are education loans. Look, around early 2000s, there were hardly any education loans that you could avail in India, but over the last 15, 10, 15, 12, 15 years, the landscape has changed a lot, and there are education loan options available to students who are planning to go overseas. Some of the advantages of an education loan is the fact that the loan is given out, the student loan is given out to the student, and therefore, in a sense, you are paying for your own education. You don't have to rely on your family or friends or your relatives' money to fund your education. You don't have to rely on the university to give you a scholarship or a grant. So in essence, you are paying for your own education. Um, Also, another advantage of an education loan is that students, since they're at the early stage of their careers, typically don't have a credit history. Now, if you don't know what a credit history is simply a repository of your past loan repayment track record. So whatever loans you have taken and how you have repaid them, they're all tracked in a central repository, and that repository is called the credit history. So every time a lender, be it in India or overseas, they want to give you a loan, you approach them for a loan, any kind of loan, the first thing they will do is they will dip into this credit history and see if you have a good credit history, if you have a good track record of repayments in your past loans. If you have a good track record, it's much easier for you to get the loan, the future loan. Um, and therefore, by taking an education loan at an early age, the student starts building a positive credit history, which will help them get further loans and credit lines in the future as well. So this is a little bit about types of options available to you and how education loan is a little bit differentiated because of various reasons, such as it's given out to you, you are taking care of your own education, you're building positive credit history along with taking this loan, etc. So let's move on to the next slide and see how education loans can help you in certain other ways. Now, I am going to tell you a few other advantages of an education loan from the perspective of, say, the university or the college or the visa/immigration officials. As you know, to go study in a particular country, you all will have to get a student visa or you will have to get a student permit. And one of the main things that the visa or immigration officer will check while processing your visa application is whether you have enough funds to pay for that education. Why do visa and immigration officers do this? They do it just to make sure that the student does not drop out of the college and becomes a public charge in that particular country. So if you drop out of college because you don't have money and you need to earn illegally or work illegally to make that money, that is a illegal activity and a illegitimate kind of a set of circumstances that you will create for yourself, and the laws of immigration laws of most countries don't allow that. And therefore visa and immigration officials always want to make sure you have enough funding to pay for your education. The first thing that a visa officer gets a lot of comfort from, also the university official, and also not just visa. Let me backtrack a little bit. Not just for visa officials, even university officials need to make sure you have enough finances to confirm your education. For example, to confirm your admission. For example, in the US, there is a form called the Form I-20 that you have to get from the college. And that Form I-20 is a proof of confirmed admission with which you can proceed for the visa processing. Now, the Form I-20, to get the Form I-20, you have to prove to the college that you have enough money to pay for that particular degree. Once the college gets that assurance, they will release the I-20 to you. That's basically how the processing of I-20 works. Now, both the university and the visa officials get a lot of comfort from an education loan because they know these are genuine funds. When the lender, such as Incred or say another bank, wherever you want to get your education loan from, when they sanction or approve your loan, they give you a sanction letter or a loan approval letter. Now, that is a legally binding document which is stamped and signed by the bank official. So it is a proof of genuine funds. There is no second guessing whether that loan is given or not. There is no ifs and buts in the question of the visa officer or the university official. So this gives a lot of confidence to the visa and university officials that the funds are actually genuine, and that the funds can be taken out on a semester or quarter or trimester basis as and when required while the student is studying, and that the student will not have any problems generating these funds for future semesters. So the genuinity of an education loan is of great help while getting your visa processed and also getting your admission confirmed. Next is the availability. As opposed to, say, a other type of loan or a scholarship or grant which may be given for 1 semester or 1 year, education loans are typically given for the entire duration of studies, and therefore you can withdraw these funds on demand as and when needed. And also the education loan, at Incred at least, is given out to cover your 100% of education expenses, including your tuition fee, living expenses, travel expenses, overseas insurance, everything is covered. So the availability of 100% of your education costs, again, is a great benefit that comes along with the education loan letter. And that benefit again gives a lot of reassurance to the visa officer as well as the university official that these are genuinely available funds that the student can access at any time. Um, the last advantage of education loan is the authentication that the lender does before giving out the loan. So the lender does a lot of due diligence. They look at the, so at Incred we look at how good the student is, their academic background, things like that. We look into your credit histories, we look into your family's, your parents' profile and their credit histories, and most banks will do that. Some banks may look at your parents more and at your academics a little less. Incred looks at the academics more and your parents a little lesser. So the process may be a little different, but regardless, the lender, which is say Incred or another bank, does a lot of authentication to ensure that this is not a fraudulent customer. This is a genuine student who is going to a genuine college. So basically the visa and the university officials also take a lot of comfort from the fact that an official bank or a lender or a NBFC has done a lot of work and a lot of processing on this particular student and their family before giving them this loan offer, and therefore there has been already some due diligence done on the student and the family and the course. And so when they see a loan approval letter, the university officials take that into account, that whatever paperwork these students are submitting are probably legitimate because the bank has already gone through all that paperwork and verified them, etc. So these are some of the broader and unspoken ways an education loan may help you in the process. Other than giving you the money, obviously, to complete the course, other than that, there are some unsaid ways an education loan may be able to help you in your quest for higher education. We will now move on to the next slide. Having told you about possible ways to fund and how education loan is beneficial for visas, etc. as well, I will spend a couple of minutes on Incred. Incred is a non-banking financial company registered with the Reserve Bank of India. We have been lending since 2017. Our flagship product is an education loan for postgraduate or master's level studies in various overseas destinations such as the US, Canada, Europe, Australia, etc., etc. We are relatively new. We are 3 to 4 years into this market. However, we are backed by industry veterans such as Anshu Jain, who was the CEO of Deutsche Bank. He was an international student himself, went to study MScs at University of Massachusetts Amherst, and then went on to become the CEO of Deutsche Bank. So he is one of our lead investors and a member of our board of directors. We also have Dr. Ranjan Pai, who is the head of the Manipal Education Group. He is also behind Incred. As I told you earlier, I have about 12 years of experience in education loan myself. I currently head the product as well as the credit risk verticals of Incred Education Loan. Uh, Prashant Bhosle, who is my boss, he's also about 10 years experience in education loan sector. He was the he was the founding member of HDFC Credila, which is in fact India's largest education loan private player as on date. So although we are a new company, we have years of experience and very knowledgeable people behind the Incred education loan vertical. Can we move on to the next slide? Quickly, Incred actually in the last 12 months, we have funded over 2,000 students. In all, we have funded over 3,000 students in the last couple of years, attending 25 different countries and about 500 or so universities as on date. A quick overview of where our students are studying. Like I said earlier, most of them are for master's education, but we also have products and programs for undergraduate education as well as diplomas and things like that as well. Next slide, please. So a little bit about what Incred can offer in terms of education loan. Well, like I said, we are very student focused. So provided you are a good student going to a good employable college, we will work out a loan option for you. Our primary eligibility criteria is based on your past academics, your standardized test scores, and your future program and university. If those are strong, we will try to work out a deal for you. We can do loans up to 40 lakh rupees for US studies, unsecured loans. You don't need to put a guarantee or mortgage your parents' property for this loan. Certain cases we can go over 40 lakhs also. And for other countries, we can do anywhere between 10 to 25 lakh of unsecured loans, sometimes a little bit higher as well. Our interest rates, etc., are very, very competitive. Repayment is very flexible. We can give you up to 15 years, and our repayments will be based on uh, what is your repayment potential after the course, and what is your parents' repayment potential in case you don't get a job. So combination of all of that is what we take into account while structuring a deal for you. And also you can apply for this loan at any point. If you are waiting admission, you can apply for the loan. If you have a GRE score and haven't applied yet, you can apply for the loan. If you have confirmed admission, you can apply for this loan. If you are already enrolled, you can still apply for the loan. So you can apply at any time. Going back to how education loan can benefit you to get confirmed admission and to process your visa, I would like to again reiterate that if you are a fall 2020 student, where your session will start in August or September of this year, I highly recommend you start your financial planning, including applying for education loan immediately. Do not wait for the last minute. Do not wait till May, June, July. What happens in May, June, July is sometimes education loan processing is very lengthy. It can go up to 3-4 weeks, a month or more. A lot of paperwork involved. So you may get stuck in all of that at the last minute. Also, you don't want to get a last minute rejection from all the banks and lenders saying they cannot give you a loan, and then you are left with no time to think of any other solution. So it's very, very important that you start your financial planning and your loan applications ASAP if you are a fall 20 student. Okay, we can move on to the next slide. I think we have come to our presentation today. We will open up with the question and answer forum. Okay, there is a last slide, which is a slide comparison between Incred and other loans. I have already more or less spoke about these things in the last few slides. Yeah, but let me go over it quickly. So the assessment, like I said, is based, how do we process the loan? We process it based on the student's academic strength. More meritorious students, the better loan you can get from us in terms of You can get higher loan amount and you can get lower rates also. We can cover 100% of your cost. We don't require any down payment or margin money. Our repayments are flexible, as I told you earlier. Collaterals are optional. We give loans based on the student's merit and not because the father or the mother has a good property to back up the loan proposal. Our processing is very online, quite fast. Within 3 to 4 days, we can give you a decision of the loan in most cases. And also, how do we disburse the loan? We disburse the loan on a semester basis whenever you need it. If you don't need the entire loan amount, then it's okay. You don't have to pay any penalties for it. In certain countries like Canada, before you apply for the visa, you have to put some money in a GIC or a blocked account showing that you have sufficient money for living expenses once you reach Canada. Also, certain universities require you to pay the first semester's tuition fee or the first year's tuition fee upfront before you go for the visa process. So, although most lenders in India will not disburse or release your loan money before you get the visa approval, Incred can do that. We can release the loan even before you apply for visa, and we can send the tuition fee to the college or university, and we can send your living expense funds to the GIC or blocked account. And with a proof of these payments, you can then go and apply for the visa. Once you get your visa processed, you can give us a copy of that confirmation and go along and take your disbursement next semester when it is required. So not only does an education loan help you in certain ways to get uh, uh, the confidence of visa officials and university officials, in order to get confirmed admission and to get the student visa approval. Certain lenders like Incred can also help in the visa process by releasing the loan money even before you go and apply for the visa. Uh, so these are the various ways that Incred can help you get a loan and also get a visa and also get your admission confirmed. Okay, with that, I have come to the end of today's presentation. Um, uh, I hope this was of help to some of you. If you have further questions, you please get in touch with the great team at EduLoans. They will help you out with specific questions. And also, I will now hand over the forum back to Gurpreet, and I will take some questions for you. So feel free to type in the chat window, and then we will try to answer those on a first come, first serve basis. Thank you, everybody. Once again, good luck to you. All the best. Gurpreet, thank you, and over to you.
We would like to thank Nilanjan on behalf of EduLoans, as well as on behalf of all the students who have joined us today, for taking such a wonderful session, and clarifying a lot of doubts that the students would have in regards to overseas education loans. Now we have this session open for a question and answer session. So you can feel free to post your questions in the chat box to the right. Also flashing on the screen, you would see there are a couple of phone numbers. These are the phone numbers for the loan counselors at EduLoans. In case if you have any queries or questions after the session, you could feel free to reach out to the loan counselors on the numbers, and they would be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Now, we would start with the first question that has come up from Sai. And Sai wants to know, my course requirement is 70 lakhs and I am looking for an unsecured loan.
Okay, all right, great. Sai, congratulations on your admission. I'm guessing you already have admission because you know how much your course will cost. Even if you don't have admission, congratulations for on your pursuit of higher education overseas. Now, 70 lakhs. This looks like either you are trying for an undergraduate degree, that is a bachelor's degree overseas, or you have gotten into a really good MBA program, or you have gotten into a very top tier MS program from a really renowned private university. I may be wrong, but I think these are the three main programs which will take the cost to 70-80 lakhs or more. Now, unfortunately, we do not have an unsecured 70 lakh product. However, depending on which course you are going to, undergraduation or a top MBA or a top MS or some MS, we will be able to work out some deal for you. If you are going to a bachelor's undergraduate education, if you're going for a bachelor's degree, the unsecured amount will be limited. However, if you are going for a master's level MBA or a MS degree, we may be able to work out something to where a significant portion of the 70 lakh is addressed. It's important that you give us more details on your course program, etc., and your profile before we can give you more pinpoint advice on how much loan we can process for you. I will say the best thing to do is to get in touch with uh, the team here at EduLoans, and discuss with them, and then redirect those questions, and then they will redirect those questions to us, and we will be able to give you more pinpoint guidance. Okay. Okay, so I hope that helps, Sai. We can move on to the next question.
Sure. So there is a question which has come from Khushi. She would like to know that if she takes a collateral loan, and say she uses the collateral loan for a year, and for the next year, if she plans to go in for a non-collateral loan, could that be changed, and vice versa? That means if she takes a non-collateral loan first and she wants to change it to a collateral later on, is it possible?
So technically, yes, possible. However, that change will require a significant amount of paperwork and effort on the part of the customer as well as the lender or Incred. And therefore, a better, a smarter way to structure it would be to either see if she's qualified for a completely unsecured loan at Incred and take that instead of giving the property in the first place. Uh, if that is not a viable option, the second option is also, so at Incred, since we are flexible on repayment and terms and conditions, what we can do is we can give you a mix of a secured and unsecured loan. What I mean by this is, say you give a collateral property which is valued at 30 lakhs, we can give you, no, most banks in India will only give you a loan of 30 lakhs in that case because your property value is 30 lakhs. But Incred can actually give you a loan of 60 lakhs based on a 30 lakh collateral that you are giving. So this is a mix of a secured plus unsecured loan. So this can be given to you upfront, and you can keep withdrawing as much as you need, on a semester or trimester or yearly basis. These will be better ways to go about this issue rather than trying to get your collateral released at the end of year one. There are certain legal and government related clauses that impact the collateral property that a bank or a lender takes. And to override those legal clauses and processes is a little bit of a hectic process, requires paperwork, etc., from the customer, from Incred, from all of us, and therefore that option is best avoided. The other two options I spoke about are if one of those can work out, then it'll save a lot of hassles to both you, your family, and to Incred. Again, I think we will require more details about you and your collateral and your program, etc. So do have a word with the team at EduLoans and ask them to direct you our way once they have assessed you, and we will be able to get back with more precise, loan details for you.
The next question is again from Sai. He would like to know, against FDs, against fixed deposits, what is the maximum amount we can get?
Okay, so like I said, we can, same thing. I just mentioned on a 30 lakh collateral, we can process a loan up to 60 lakhs. the same that a FD can be, same can be applied to a FD as well. If you give us a FD, we can look at funding you double the value of the FD. So if you give a 15 lakh FD, we can look at funding you 30 lakhs. Okay. There are exceptions to this. There are exceptions where we can take a lower amount of FD. We can take a 10 lakh FD and give you 30 lakhs. Also, there are exceptions on the other side where we will say that no, we need a 20 lakh FD to give you 30 lakhs. Again, all of this is dependent on uh, your academic background, your profile, your future college and degree, and therefore, without knowing those details, it's very, very difficult to give a pinpoint answer. However, the good news is those options are available. We can take a FD of lower value and give you a higher value loan. I hope that answers your question somewhat, Sai.
The next question is from Grishma. She wants to know, is it possible to have a loan for second year only if need arise? For that, do we need to apply before going?
So that's a pretty good question, actually. So look, most banks, so if you are planning to take a loan from, say, a public sector bank, for example, SBI, you will not be able to do that because once you move overseas, they classify you as an NRI, and then it becomes very difficult to get loans and all of that from a bank. Um, at Incred, you can do this. You can go there, figure out, and then second year apply from there for a loan. Your parents will have to do the processing here. The processing happens in India. Incred is a Indian-based lender, so the processing happens in India. However, I think that will again create more headaches for you because once you are, one thing I want to tell you all about a overseas degree is it is very rewarding, but it is also very, very challenging. You will work a lot. You will have a lot of homework. You will have a lot of demands from the professor academically. You will have a lot of tests and quizzes and midterms and research papers and this and that. So, you will not have enough time on your hands to look for loans once you start your study period. And therefore, it's better you plan the loan beforehand only. Also, going back to advantages of education loan, which I was talking about earlier, another advantage that, in fact, I forgot to mention, and I will just say that right now is, look, don't go to overseas degree without having your financial planning for 100% of the expenses done right from India. What happens is once you go to the US or Canada or wherever, you start your semester, you have so much studies that you don't want any other distraction. And if you have this distraction, I don't know where my next semester funding will come from or next year funding will come from. I have to look for loan, I have to look for job, I have to ask my parents. If you have this worry hanging on your head all the time, it'll get difficult for you to focus on your studies. And that's not a great idea at all. That's a very bad idea, in fact. Because of all of this, you should get the loan processing done before you leave. You can always take the loan later on. However, the ideal way to do it is you apply for the loan now, get the loan approved now, and most companies, most lenders or banks or financial institutes will actually not keep the loan valid. The loan offer or the loan approval or the sanction letter will not stay valid for 1 year. It will stay valid. So the loan offer given to you will stay valid for 3 months or 6 months at the most. Okay. So you take the sanction letter, you take a very small amount of loan. You say you take a 20 lakh sanction letter or a loan approval, but you want to utilize the 20 lakh in the second year, not in the first year. However, in the second year, the bank will tell you it's too late now, you have to reapply. So to circumvent that problem, you take a 20 lakh sanction letter, you take a 1 lakh disbursement before you fly off to your destination country. That way, your loan account has now gotten created. And then don't take any disbursement till your second year comes. When the second year comes, then you request the bank or whoever has given you the education loan that you need another 5 lakhs or 3 lakhs or 10 lakhs or whatever for your third semester or second year studies. And at that point, the bank will give you that extra amount which you require without any further application or anything. And that's because your loan has started, your loan account has started. So you don't have to, there is no question of validity and all of that anymore. So this is what I suggest to you. I think this is the ideal way to circumvent the problem that you are proposing.
The next question is from Nidhi Gogia. She would like to know what is the rate of interest Incred can offer.
Okay, I know this is a big question in the mind of everybody, interest rate, interest rate, interest. So our interest rates are again completely custom made to the individual student's profile, program, etc. The better your university and your program and the better are your credentials, the better of an interest rate you can get. Uh, the range of the interest rate, it can go up or down from time to time, but typically anywhere between 11.95 to 13.95. Unsecured loan, this is a loan without any collateral backing and things like that. But again, that range, in that range, what your exact ROI will be is dependent on you and your family background and things like that. How much loan do you need? All of those factors matter. But typically, for 80% of the cases, the range is that. It can be slightly higher or slightly lower, given individual, case specifics or case trends in your particular application.
Uh, the next question is from Sai. Due to coronavirus epidemic, if we are not flying, could we get the loan cancelled and the amount refunded from Incred?
Okay, finally a COVID question. I was expecting at least a few of these. Good question, actually, Sai. Yeah, look, yes, you can get the loan cancelled. What happens is in education loan that the loan is approved in the month of March or April or May when you apply, and then the course starts in August or September or October. So you take the loan approval letter in March, April, May, then you get your visa and all of that done. Then you come back to the lender, then you come back to Incred in July or August and say, now I need some money. So what will happen is in July and August, if for some reason because of the COVID virus, you have decided not to travel overseas, or you have decided to drop the plan of studies and all of that, then obviously you haven't taken any disbursal of the loan, so there is nothing to return or cancel. Um, there is a processing fee that you have to pay to get the sanction letter. So the processing fee can be refunded in certain situations after the lender keeps their basic, expenses that they have incurred to process your file. They will withhold a nominal token amount and they may be able to refund you the rest. That policy. So because COVID is a very recent development, which lender will return the processing fee to you if you have paid a processing fee? Which lender will return and how much will be returned is still a unanswered question. It's unanswered territory because most lenders don't know how this will pan out and they haven't created these policies because COVID is a very recent thing. However, broadly speaking, at Incred, if you cancel your study plan due to a medical emergency or an epidemic such as COVID, we will work with you to refund your loan disbursal if you have taken any, and we will also work with you to see how best and how maximum PF we can refund to you if you have paid a PF to us.
So I understand that the coronavirus or the COVID-19 is a new thing, and we need to seriously fight this thing, and not, we don't need to get scared of it. It should definitely not affect your your career opportunities that you've already planned. So we would want to wait for a couple of more questions to come in before we call it a session. And in case if there are none coming in, then we would close the session. And you could always reach out to our loan officers and loan counselors on the numbers that are on the screen. We are also recording this session, which you can feel free to watch after a day or two once it gets uploaded onto our portal on the EduLoans website. So just waiting for another minute for a few more questions. So feel free to post those questions, please. So it seems we have another question which comes from Nidhi Gogia, and the question is, does Masters of Kineology, which is a STEM program, uh, is is it considered by Incred as a good program to sanction the loan?
Okay, all right. So kinesiology is basically movement of human body parts. It has to do with exercise science. There are a lot of sub branches and sub streams of exercise science and kinesiology. We have funded a couple of students for kinesiology in the past. There are certain kinesiology streams that are designated as a STEM degree in the US. Also, I am not sure, Nidhi, if you are targeting the US or another country, but if you are targeting the US, you will be aware by now that there are these STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, designated official list of programs that the US government and universities have. Um, um, and at times, some of the kinesiology streams are marked as a STEM program, some are not. If it is marked as a STEM program, it is actually a great advantage, and we can certainly work out some deal for you. However, if it's a non-STEM program, we will still be able to work out something for you, but we will be a little cautious because not a non-STEM program only gives you a 1 year stay back option in the US, whereas a STEM program gives you a 3 year option. So it does give a little bit of advantage if the particular kinesiology program you're trying to attend is STEM designated or not. The best way to find that out is to just mail your university, the admissions team, and ask them, is your MS kinesiology program STEM designated or not? If it is, then it should be easier for you to get a loan.
So that was the last question for today. We would like to thank Mr. Nilanjan Chattaraj on behalf of Incred for taking us through the session. And the entire EduLoans team, as well as I see a lot of students putting in thank you for taking the session today. So we would call it a session now, and the last few words from your side, Nilanjan, please.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanna again congratulate everybody on their quest for higher education. I know that coming from Indian, because we come from middle income or not so financially strong to afford 70, 80 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs worth of loan, or worth of funding in one shot, it becomes a challenge for us to get educated overseas. Uh, excuse me. But like I said, we have really good options these days. Incred is one of them. Very proud to be a part of Incred. I was part of two other education loan platforms in India before this. But at Incred, we really care about the student's future trajectory, and we want to make sure that every deserving student gets some options to study abroad. Also, I would like to tell you that the cost of higher education overseas may be cost of higher education may be high, but the cost of not getting that education is even higher in the long run of your life. And therefore, do not look at this as a cost. Look at it as an investment that will give you benefits which will far outrun the actual money that you are going to take as a loan. Having said that, I think uh, I would like to invite all of you to talk to the team at Education Loans. They have been doing a great job helping students get financing. And they have worked with us for the last couple of years. Very, very impressed with the team there. So if you are a student and you need some financial assistance in the form of loans, etc., get in touch with EduLoans immediately and let them talk to us on your behalf to see what we can do for you best. So good luck, everybody, and thank you, Gurpreet and team, for putting this together once again. Thanks.
You're welcome, Nilanjan, and thank you for taking the time out of your office schedule and helping students understand what Incred has in store for them and how it benefits to take a overseas education loan through Incred. we now call this a session, and thank you once again, all of you, for being a part today of this session. Bye bye. Bye for now.